Have you ever considered selling low content books on Amazon KDP as a side hustle? If not, I'm going to tell you all about it in today's video. Here are a couple of great reasons why you might want to get started. First of all, there's no upfront cost. If any, it's going to be like maybe $20 and a couple of hours spent doing this. That means there's no risk. You can try it, see if it works, and if it doesn't, you haven't really lost anything. The great benefits of this is that it can be done from anywhere in the world. It's all digital. You only need a laptop, and there's no experience needed. It doesn't matter if you haven't designed a book before, if you haven't published a book before or anything like that. It's really simple to get started, and I'm going to share with you a couple of tools that are so great to get you past that beginner journey. And it's so easy because Amazon takes care of everything. I'm talking printing, distribution, building the sales page, getting the payments, sending the orders. Everything is done by Amazon for you. So what are low content books? Low content books require no writing or very little writing by the author or seller. The name kind of speaks for itself, right? A few examples are notebooks, journals, planners, agendas, logbooks, sketchbook, coloring books, and so on. Anything that's basically user-generated content within it, and you just provide the framework or the pages. And it usually involves a lot of repetitive pages. For example, I've published not one but two password organizer logbooks, which helps you pretty much write down your passwords and your online account so you don't forget them, and that they're also safe from cyber leaks and things of that sort. But how does it work? Basically, the seller, you, uploads their manuscript onto the Amazon platform. This is done through their Amazon KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing platform, and they print it and ship it out for you every time you get an order. The buyer receives a physical copy of your book once you upload your desired manuscript. Based on those purchases, you as a seller receive a royalty. So Amazon keeps a cut of the profits and then the printing cost of that book, but you can set your own prices and you can see all those in the back end when deciding on a book price. We'll go over all of that in a minute. It's super simple, but basically it doesn't cost you anything. When you start selling, Amazon starts paying you. It's that simple. So what do you need to start creating these low content books? For beginners, you only need two things: a free KDP account. So this is an Amazon seller account for their Kindle Direct Publishing platform. And number two, you need a BookBolt membership. Now, there are a bunch of ways to go about kind of writing and publishing and designing these low content books, but this is by far the easiest and simpler way to get started. And here is why you need a BookBolt account. First of all is research. BookBolt has this research function that allows you to snoop through all the low content books on Amazon. So this excludes actual published books, which would take you months, if not years, to write. And it only focuses on things that we mentioned, like journal, planner, sketchbooks. And it gives you an idea for more low content books in these categories that you might not even have thought of. You can use it to find profitable ideas or even niches for all these low content books, because it shows you what other sellers are currently selling, like exactly how many copies a month. So you can look into different niches, see if it's worth your time creating one, or see if they're underserved niches as well. They also have a studio function, which is basically a manuscript creating function. You can use it to create beautiful covers. So I have done that for both of my books, because even though Amazon KDP has a cover creator within their account, it's so difficult to use and my covers never look the way I want them to, but BookBolt knows this. So I've been able to create these kind of front and back covers really easily within BookBolt and their studio, as well as the most important part, which is obviously the insides of the book. So like I said, it does not matter that you've never designed a book before, or you're not a graphic designer, or you've never put something like this together. BookBolt will help you do it page by page. And I will go through my exact process that I use to create them. So if you guys want to stick around for that, definitely. And then the third reason why you might really benefit from a BookBolt membership is because of their training. So they do weekly live trainings on their platforms for their users, which includes kind of Q&A calls and things like that. So if you have questions, if you're just trying to figure out how to use their tool to the best ability, definitely take advantage of that. People who have used that have ended up being kind of bestsellers on Amazon. So don't miss out on a little bit further education. It does really make a difference. So how did I actually create not one, but 2 of these books. I'm gonna go through how I used Bookbolt to create that, including how I got to the idea of the password logbooks. So I didn't just pick it because I thought, oh, actually I could use one of that, which I actually did, but I used their Bookbolt research function, and I found out that there were a couple of really best-selling password logbooks online, and they're geared towards specific audiences, and I'm gonna go over that on how you can pick a niche if you're just starting out. But obviously I still wanted something that would kind of fit my audience for my blog and YouTube channel, which is mostly bloggers and business owners, so that's why I picked that niche for them. But you can take ideas from other niches and turn them into really profitable ideas for your own kind of audience, right? So let me go over how I reached my kind of idea for my low content books that I published and how I made it happen. So how I got from the idea to the books actually being published on Amazon and having the physical copies right here with me. Okay, so I mentioned quickly that Bookbolt can help you find the best sellers in each category. So here's what you need to do. If you use my link below to go to Bookbolt, you can start your 3 free day trial to do this right now. And I also have a discount code if you choose to upgrade. So once you're in, it's gonna look a little bit like this. And this is the part you need for the research bit, right? It's called the cloud, and it can help you find the best sellers in a couple of different categories. So I mentioned that low content books can be notebooks, can be journals, even music sheets. There are a couple of planners, calendars, coloring books, activity books, comic books, and so on, including other trackers and sketchbooks. If you're just in the research phase and you're just trying to spitball, you can go to the top 500 best-selling notebooks. We're gonna go ahead and, without inputting any keywords, see what's out there. So you'll see that these are the best-selling notebooks lately. So there are a couple of graph paper notebooks for math and science students. That's really interesting. There's the kind of organizer and logbook for passwords and stuff, which inspired my logbooks because I was like, this is something that people like to write down. And you can go and you can see here a couple of really interesting information about all of them, including the price, the best selling rank. But what I like to look at is just the estimated monthly sales. So this sells $485 a month at $591. Kind of gives you an idea of what you can make just with that one planner. And you can then calculate exactly what your profit would be out of that in your Amazon KDP a little later on. But this is usually what I like to look at, the monthly sales right here. So all of these sell 500, 400 plus, and as you go down, obviously they're going to sell a little less. But that's not to mean that they're not great ideas. They're kind of blank comic books. It's such an interesting idea. So you don't have to create the actual comic book yourself, but you let the kids create their own comic books. If I was in like a parenting, child activity niche, I would jump on the opportunity to create similar things. And you can see that again, it sells $374 a month. That's really awesome. And obviously, if you look at something and it's really interesting and you want to learn more about it, you can click on it and it will take you to the Amazon listing. So this is something that sells for $4.99. So that tells me this particular one might be a little hard to compete with just because they do have 400 ratings. But I'm going to show you a trick soon to find content ideas that are a little less. And one of them is to figure out how many others are in that same niche. So for example, I want to see how many blank comic books are for sale on Amazon. So I go to books, I sell on Amazon, and I search for it, and you can see there are about 60,000 results or so. And then obviously the more you niche it down, so for example for kids, it'll have 50,000 results. So you want something with ideally less than 20,000, 10,000 results, because it's gonna be less of a competition. And if the first page all have over like 100 so reviews, it's gonna be a little hard to get into as a niche. But this is like still a really interesting product. And you can see a couple there that are just kind of starting out that still do quite well. But it just gives you an idea of what's really popular in those niches, and then you can adapt it and find things that there's also more of a need for. You'll find like composition notebooks, which are really interesting. There's a Chinese writing practice book. So when you look at it, there's a little over 10,000 results for it. So I think this is a less competitive niche. Handwriting practice paper, that would be also really easy to create as well. A blood sugar logbook for diabetics, again, super niched down items that do really well. This still sells 300 a month. Now here's a tip if you want to narrow down your search. So all these ideas are really great into helping you find, so definitely spend some time in their kind of cloud search and find out what's popular. You can then narrow it down. So I would go all the way back up, look at the top 500 in maybe the tracker category and kind of go with that. All these are great ideas, but if you're looking through that and you're a little overwhelmed and you actually have a pretty good idea of what your niche is, then it's so easy to narrow it down. So one of the things that I do just off the bat is that I will go and I will use my Command F or search function on my laptop and I'll look for specific words in my niche. So then you can go look at child, for example, a daycare sign-in sheet, an attendance sheet seems to be something that people are selling, or do the Command F again and look for something like pet. So for example, there's a dog training logbook that is selling about 200 a month, which is not bad at all. That's actually a really interesting tracker that I would look for if I was in the pet niche. And then you can look for something even more specific like nurse. There's a nursing study notebook, really interesting. There's a nurse report sheet, patient visit notes, and so on. So just by using that function, you will see kind of in the top 500 what's in there. You can also use the search function that BookBolt has, which will narrow it down. Let's see what's in the fitness industry. So we have a lot of fitness planners and journals. We have a weekly wellness log that tracks food, meal plans, goals, checklists, all that. Don't forget to kind of switch this up, go from planners to journals, for example, and search the same thing, because you're going to see a couple of different things. For example, you're going to go see passports, sketchbooks, dog breeder logbook, which tracks their records and medical notes for puppies. I'm going to take that and go to Amazon once again and check on it. I'm going to type in dog breeder logbook, for example, and there are only 3,000 results for this, and a lot of them seem to have quite bad reviews. So this seems to be actually a great niche to get into, and while there are a couple of results already out there, there's not that much competition. They are falling short of providing the necessary information. So what I would do is I would go and check their reviews and see what's missing, see what people are kind of complaining about, if they're leaving reviews and complaining about something, maybe even buy a copy and find ways to improve it. Something else that BookBolt helps you do is look into these books and that are already published. So if you get the book ASIN, which is just a little code that Amazon gives it, which will also show up here, and you go into Book Scout, you can paste it in there and search for it. What it'll then do is collect the keywords and the data for this. So if you're publishing something similar, this might be a really useful tool and tutorial. So it will kind of pull up the book and it will search for these logbooks, and it will search for the search volume for that. Then you can also go into the kind of keywords search. So if you look at the keywords, it will tell you kind of the competition and the searches for it, as well as how much people usually bet on it. You don't really have to go too deep into this. I usually just look at to find book titles or keywords that I want to mention. So dog walking business, dog walking book, things of that nature, I will make sure to have in my keywords and in my title. So I usually, once I set on a project, I use BookBolt to help me research a couple of these keywords, and that's just one of the few things that BookBolt helps with. That being said, let me show you exactly how I designed it page by page and how I ended up with 120 pages that I've created in literally less than 30 minutes, and that's because I'm a perfectionist. Let me walk you through how I use the BookBolt Studio and how I designed my books exactly. Okay, so you found your idea, now you're ready to create it. Here's how I use BookBolt for that. They have something called Create or the BookBolt Studio. All you need is to log right back in. And in here is where I've literally created it all. So first of all, one of the things that I really love with BookBolt is their cover. So when you kind of choose to go with KDP, they have very specific regulations for how they want their cover to look and fit, and they create all these really helpful guides. So I was able to literally put everything in there and move it around. All these are created by me, and the only thing that I created externally was this kind of Canva, which is like a whole image in here. And then you'll see that I created 120 pages in here, and because it's a password logbook, it was really easy to create. I'm going to walk you through a quick tutorial on how I created this, and then help you create something like a really simple composition book as well, to give you an idea of what BookBolt can do. How did I create my book planner that's now on Amazon? So you'll see this is already ranking number 1, except the sponsor posts, and it's currently available on Amazon. And literally it took me 1 day to create. So I used the BookBolt Cloud, and I had decided on a password logbook, but I wanted to make it really specific to my niche, which obviously is like helping bloggers, helping business owners, right? So the first thing I did is I looked for a couple password trackers and logbooks on Amazon, and I looked for the ones that Amazon could create. So for example, Amazon can't really create anything with these kind of tabs. It just has to be a simple paperback book. So I kind of went through and I ignored those options, but I looked at other password trackers that seem to be doing quite well. And in here, it'll literally tell you the dimensions they use. So they use 6 by 9 inches, which was a really popular choice. I looked at several password trackers, and a lot of people really preferred that. And I also read reviews of others where people wanted books that weren't just pocketbooks because you didn't have enough space to write all the passwords, or if you changed a password to kind of update that. So I went ahead and I actually chose the 6 or 9 inches dimension, and I went to the BookBolt Studio and I created a new project. So you'll see that option right here. When you create a new project, you have to set the project type, which is paperback, cover, and interiors. Obviously, give it a name and then choose a trim size. These trim sizes are all compliant with Amazon ones. So this is really important because it just has to fit what Amazon has available for printing. So there are a couple of options in there. I wouldn't go with a custom size. Be sure to just choose one of them. But I easily found the 6 or 9 inches in there. And then you just want to go with black and white interior with white paper, right? Really simple in there, and set a page count. It's really easy if you set the page count from the beginning, but don't worry, it doesn't have to be specific. You can delete pages or add extra ones later on. And I wanted a book that has at least 100 and so pages, and my book ended up being 120 pages. Once I knew what I wanted to create, I actually wanted to take a little bit of a shortcut. So BookBolt is obviously great for creating anything you need to create, and they will help you with things like everything here on the cover. And when you go to the actual pages, you'll see you're able to add text bits. So if you want to add anything in there, as well as any images of your own. And something really important is that they have an interior templates library. This is literally a game changer and things that I used to pay for before. So if you're trying to create something really simple, like for example, these composition notebooks, I saw one that was actually a company that was selling a lot of these cute composition notebooks with just little pups on them. And you can actually look inside, and it's literally just a composition paper, right? So all it is, it's a low content book that provides people the ability to write in it. And it has so many really cute reviews. People just buy them for their kids, for school, for their own journaling needs. So they're so easy to create. And the BookBolt Studio has those rules book. So you can either choose something like that and put on, you can select on how many pages you want to put it. Super easy to do. You can set the line color, make it a bit darker, or keep it quite transparent. Literally everything that you want, depending how much space you want to give, you can kind of set in there. So it literally added it to the page, and then you can kind of duplicate it, make it as big as you want. Keep in mind that Amazon will kind of cut it off right there, so they can only print so much of it. That is why sometimes I like to just make it a little bigger than it needs to be to make sure that all of it is contained in it. So composition books are super easy to create. If you follow their templates, they have a couple for graphics, so for any kind of math books as well. They have dot graphs for planners. They have room grids and things of that nature. So things like that for any kind of tracking. I literally played with this for ages. They have music sheets if you want to do a music composition notebook. This is literally anything that you would need. They have kind of journal entries again, all these type of things that you might want to create. And again, it provides that little kind of line for the dates there. That's literally all you need to do. And then if you love how this looks, you can literally duplicate it and clone it for all the other pages. So you can select all and then just deselect the cover and the first page, for example. And you can clone it to all those pages, okay. And in literally seconds, you can create a whole planner or notebook. Now, the issue that I had is that what I had in mind was a little harder to create. And while you can use their liners and their drawings and lines of that nature to create anything else, so you can put things together if you wanted to create specific boxes, or you can even use some of their shapes. I kind of found it hard to use these ruled graphs, and I thought it would take a little too much time to put together what I wanted, but that's only because they're really specific. If you're just trying to do really easy bill trackers, career plans, to-do lists, monthly planners, they actually have templates for that as well, which is super useful, including a reading list. So if you want to create a reading notebook, a reading tracker, they have that in there. You won't need to create it from scratch. All of that is literally available on Bookbolt. Look how many lovely templates are there. They even have something for sketchbooks, storybooks, project planners, blood pressure logs, and so on. And any of these are super customizables. So if you're putting it together and then deciding to just change it a little bit, so you don't want this to be a blood pressure log, but you want it to be a sort of other log, all you need to do is simply go to their shapes, pick one of them, doesn't really matter which, make it white, and just put it over what you want to change. Go back in there, put another heading in, and make this into your own kind of tracker or planner. It's literally that easy to make any changes, but I found it a bit difficult to update any of these to my specific idea. So I took a little shortcut and I actually went to designbundles.net and I bought an interior tracker KDP interior. So this is a little bit of a cheat on my side, but I bought the commercial license for this because that is literally what I needed and wanted, right? I didn't want to have to create it myself, although I could duplicate it after creating it once. I just love to save time where I can. This was already 6 or 9 inches, which was super helpful. So I literally bought and downloaded this. Once you buy it, all you need to do is literally import it. So if you just go to the photo, you can upload a PDF, choose a PDF file that you have on your computer already. For example, this, open it, and then you can select pages or literally do all the pages. I'm just going to do a couple of the pages to give you an idea. And I'm just going to go no margins, submit. It will literally extract the pages or extract the whole thing. Now you can resize this as you want, but I didn't like the look of the title. So I did the same trick that I just showed you a second ago. I went to the shapes just to make sure to choose a filled shape, cover what I needed, made it white, and there it is. Then you can go and add your own, and then you can choose any text that you want and put on top of it. So it's that easy to make that into something I wanted. And obviously if you wanted, for example, to change the name of website to account, you could easily kind of do a similar job there. So that was super easy for me to create. And then guess what? I just cloned this page and added it to all other pages other than my kind of current ones. Cloned it, and within seconds I had that in. Then I went in and I created like the alphabetical pages. I put a couple of pages at the end that I liked the look of, and so on. So you can customize this and make it better. Obviously add as many pages as you need, but this was all done within Bookbolt. And then all you need to do is just work on your cover here. Again, super easy. You can even go and find a couple of pages or images in there that you might want to use for your cover. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. And you can create something within here as well. And what I did for the back's kind of spine was just like a solid color, and you can kind of get inspiration from that and make it super similar to that. And then I just add the photo on top of it. There you go. And then you can add any other elements that you need. So I literally went to my uploads, added my kind of author page on the back there, and remember to leave a little bit of space here for the actual barcode. So if you remember, the barcode was right there, so I don't want to go too close there, but you can add writing, you can add a couple of reviews, anything you want. And then once your project is kind of done and ready and you are pleased with it, so I do kind of move things up a bit, crop them as I need to, etc. Add your own title or whatever you're trying to do. Obviously, I would make this look a little prettier than that, but this is just to show you how quick it is. You can then download the current project. So I usually download it as a printed book, and voila, you will have your full PDF and your full manuscript and your cover as well to upload onto Amazon. Super, super easy. So now you have your final manuscript PDF that is ready to go, and you have saved it and exported it. Time to upload it to Amazon and have them sell it. Here's how you do that. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to create an Amazon KDP account if you don't have one, and how to create a book in there basically that's specifically made for low content books. There are a couple of settings that you need to be aware of, and if you haven't done this process before, I'll walk you through it step by step, but it's a super easy 10 to 15 minute process. So don't get too scared by it. Literally the harder part is creating the actual book, and once you learn how to do that, you can replicate it again and again and again and have tens of books for sale under one Amazon account. So I'm going to show you how I got my books published for the literally next day. But a little disclaimer, it does sometimes take up to 3 days, if not a little more, for Amazon to approve your manuscript, because they do have to individually check every book that gets published on their platform. But it's literally submitting it, waiting for 1 to 2 days, and then it's live for people to buy all over the world. Let me teach you everything you just need to know about Kindle Direct Publishing. So once you go to kdp.amazon.com, you can sign in or sign up if you don't have an account. Once you sign up, make sure to complete your information, because if you don't, they might not publish your book, but it's super, super easy to sign up and go through that process. And that can include setting if you're an individual or a corporation, a couple of information about getting paid, and your tax information. So again, super easy to set up. It will take 5 minutes. Do that first. Then you can go right back to the bookshelf, and this is where your titles will reside. And you will need to create a book. So just click create and go for paperback. And then I'm going to walk you through literally everything that you need to fill out. So ideally give this some thought beforehand, because things like the book title and subtitle, you can't really change after the fact. So the book title will be what's actually on the cover. In your book bolt, when you had just selected a book title, it needs to also be on here. And again, keep in mind, this cannot be changed after the book is published, so it needs to be kind of your final version of that title. And then for the subtitle, you ideally need to have a couple of keywords that you found via the keyword search in here. So if you remember, we went through that search and find something useful on there. Ignore this part, because unless you are publishing an actual book series, this won't be relevant. And you can also skip the edition number, since this is the first time you're going to publish this. Now for the author, this is where you want to add your public name. Again, if you're not comfortable with sharing your real name on Amazon or for the niche of your business, you can choose a pen name, and then you can have multiple pen names under one account. So if you choose to take this on as a side hustle and you want different kind of author names for different industries, then you can do that. Just make sure that your first and middle and last name are similar for this. So again, let's make up a name. Let's say that everything that has to do with poetry and students, I'm going to publish under this name. And if you work with somebody, you can add a contributor. If you're doing this all by yourself, then there's no need to do that. Now, for the description, you can add a quick summary for it here, and the description or the body you can actually change at any time. You have about 4,000 characters, so you can play around with that. And then you can even work to format your description in here, which a lot of people on Amazon don't really do. It really shocks me. So you can do something like this. Obviously, don't copy somebody else's description word by word, but this is just to give you an idea. And then you can go around and format it. So for example, I'll make this into a heading and make it bold and so forth. So you can give it some dimension. Always choose I own the copyright because you have created it. And then for the keywords, remember to use book bolds to search for keywords that are a good option. This is super, super important if you want to show up in Amazon search and then not have to pay to get your book found. Give book bolds a try in there and just choose things that are very relevant. Make sure to fill them out completely. Now for the categories bit, you want to pay attention. The first thing that you want to do is take the low content book here for journal planners and notebooks if it is a low content book. And then for the categories, you'll see that Amazon has all these different pluses and minuses, and it's kind of hard to find what you're looking for, but KDP can actually help with that. So if you go to KDP categories and type in something like your keyword, you can see what they are basically suggesting for either a fitness tracker or a poetry composition, and you can find a couple of these nonfiction categories to put in there. And after that, all you need to do is just pretty much find it. So go to that, find poetry, go general, and you can also go to a couple of these Amazon books that you found that are very similar to yours and see where they are. So they're in fiction writing books. Those are the kind of categories that they are in. So obviously spend some time. You can choose only 2 categories and make sure that they are relevant, and then choose no for any kind of adult content. Then go to Save and Next. And because it's a low content book, you don't actually need an ISBN number, which is something that you will need for any other books, but Amazon will generate one for you if you need it. But again, this is not needed. Set a publication date or a live date whenever you kind of choose to publish it. And this is the part where you want to pay attention. Make sure you select the same things that you selected back on book bold. So black and white interior paper with white paper is my recommendation. You can make it cream paper as well, but I would stay clear from color interiors unless you have a lot of images and it's really relevant to the book you're publishing. Then you can choose a trim size. I chose 6x9. You can choose a different size. Now for the manuscript bit, this is super easy. You want to upload a paperback manuscript. You just need to select the one that was automatically saved by book bold. Then wait for it to upload and then go back and upload your own cover. So for this, you don't need to use the Amazon Creator, which is actually a little frustrating. So I would recommend just doing the one that you have. Upload your cover file, and there you go. That's the one that I created, for example, in Amazon. And the next very important step is to launch the preview and approve how it looks before you can continue. So you see, if you try to go to continue, it will tell you that actually you need to preview and approve your book first. So go ahead and do that every time you make changes to the book or to the manuscript. And then it's going to take you to the quality check. So you see they have these lines here, and because we have no issues, it means that it fits specifically into how they kind of cut and trim the book. So that's actually a good sign. Obviously, when you look at this and if you see if anything is not within those lines, those red lines, that means it won't be on the cover. So you might want to go back to book bold and make those adjustments. You'll see that they also added the barcode here. So that's why it's super important to leave that space down there. Then it will take you through the actual kind of pages and everything. You have a copyright notice right there that I do recommend adding to your books. And then everything, you'll just notice that it fits into those lines, which is super important. So you can then kind of look to see what's inside there. And obviously, if you have pages that are a duplicate of each other, you might not need to. But I like to go through it and just make sure. I created a couple of extra pages right here for mine. And I also added more from this author, which I created in book bold at the end of it. And I created these like really quick links to have people find my content, as well as a request for people to leave reviews if possible. Once your manuscript and cover were uploaded and approved, it will take you to the summary. So this is an indication of how much it will actually cost you to print 120 pages in black and white interiors of 6 or 9 inches, and it will be $229 per book. So you can save and continue, and it will take you to the pricing page. So the pricing page will vary by the marketplace, and you can set prices, and you will receive a royalty rate of 60%. Say you want to sell this for $7.99. That means it will take $229 for the printing, and you will receive a $250 royalty per this. So keep in mind that low content books are usually fairly priced because it's user generated content, right? But even by selling 200 copies of this at $7.99, your earnings will be $500 each and every single month just from this one book. You can set different prices for different marketplaces, and obviously it will show in those kind of currencies, and you can play around with this and see kind of what is fair, how much you can actually charge. For example, if you charge $8.99, you'll earn $3.10 per each sale, which means you'll make $620 if you sell 200 copies every month. And that is it. Once you select all of that, approve it, you can move to the next step. Obviously, if you were like me and you were doing it on a test account, it won't work. So make sure to complete your account information first. But don't worry, you can save this as a draft and come back to it later. But if you're ready, hit publish. Your book will be on Amazon in 1 to 3 days. You will receive an email when that will be approved. And you will also see it right here it will say in review, or it will say published if it's published. So you'll see that both of my copies are live on Amazon. And for both of them, if you're wondering, yes, they have the exact same interior because I made it so I can use it on both. The only thing that's different is literally the cover and the keywords, as this is aimed at bloggers and this is aimed at business owners. So again, try to niche down your paper books if you can, because it will target specific audiences. Once you've done a book, all you need to do is go to create again and add more and more to your bookshelf, and then you can actually go and market your books. You can set a small kind of ad revenue and have your books be sponsored. So it will show up at the top right here. So even if you don't have enough reviews, or if you're brand new, you can actually start getting a couple of reviews in by just sponsoring and adding a couple of ad dollars behind it. But the beauty with Amazon is that they have thousands and thousands of people on it every single month organically. So it's a great way to get found and make money. And that is it. That is a super simple process that you can start selling low content books on Amazon today and make passive income with something that you only need to create once. If you need more help discovering profitable niches, definitely get a BookBold membership today. It is honestly so useful. And if BookBold sounds like a good idea for you, and if you're wondering what the actual price for a membership is, let me quickly walk you through that, because I think it's honestly so worth it. So you can get started with their lowest plan at $9.99 per month, and this includes everything you need to start creating books and low content books today. Then they have their pro plan at $19.99 per month, and this also includes their kind of puzzle page creator. So if you're looking to create kind of puzzle books, activity books, or even like Sudoku books and things like that, they include that for you, and you can start creating activity books with that plan. But again, you might just need the starter plan if you're only planning to create planners, notebooks, things like that, and those templates will be included. In my opinion, it's so worth it. Honestly, I only need to sell like 1 or 2 of these to make that money back, and I can kind of recreate this process as many times with as many books as I want. So if you're looking for passive income ideas, this is definitely one of the strategies that works really well. And as much as I love selling digital products, there's honestly something special about physical products, not to mention that Amazon's a giant. Even for my actually published books on Amazon, where I talk about blogging, for example, I have a book on how to start a money-making blog. That book sells more copies of the paperback book rather than the ebook version. So that to me just shows that people on Amazon love physical products. So definitely do not miss out on this opportunity to create those products that might not be out there. Hope this video was helpful, and make sure to like and subscribe if you want to hear more ideas on how to make money online. I share more tips on how to both on my YouTube channel and my blog, 𝗘𝗫𝗏𝗧.com. So if you're interested in starting your online journey today, or even just supplementing your income, and you consider yourself to be quite creative, give this a go. See you soon.